Can I ask you a question? Does that bring tears? Or the feeling? Or the desire for tears? And do you hold them back? Do you find yourself holding them back? I know that I do. I mean, you all know I'm a big crybaby. But you also know that I'm human. And yeah, I fight back the tears. I would encourage you to let them flow. I would encourage you to take it all in, to embrace how God's Spirit moves and flows. I am convinced that when we don't, we're not really allowing God to do what God does. Because life these days is, as M. Scott Peck says in my favorite book, The Road Less Traveled, life is difficult. So welcome to the last Sunday, the final Sunday of the church year. I have come to love this Sunday. It warms my heart because in the end, it all works out. In the end, everything will be all right. In the end, we'll see the homeless person as the image of God. We'll see the probably schizophrenic person with mental health problems as the image of God. And we'll see how our resistance to fully feeling the depth of their hurt and their pain, how, dare I say, that makes us Pharisees? That makes us the educated who don't fully feel, don't fully take in, don't fully experience, so that we can fully love and serve and help heal, so that we can really be the image of God reaching out to them in their need. Because we know that we've all needed that lifeline. I'm betting that you're sitting here or you're sitting there worshiping because at one point in time or another, you have had a lifeline. I ache for Christ the King to love every person in every situation under heaven. There are days that I don't know where to turn except to Christ the King of Kings, the King of the universe, who in fact did all of this for you and for me. And for all who come to him. I love this Sunday because life is real. Because everybody hurts. And because sometimes the holidays aren't real. Don't feel like life. So on to Pilate. Pilate was a politician. That says it all, doesn't it? As someone said, if pro is the opposite of con, is progress the opposite of Congress? Someone else said that the reason a person in Congress tries so hard to get reelected is that they would hate to make a living under the laws that they've passed. I heard about one congressman who had been working desperately throughout his district for re-election. He was relaxing one evening at a friend's place following a speech. And the friend said, "I have heard your speeches, but the real question is, what will you do if you are elected?" "No," said the politician, "the real question is, what will I do if I'm not reelected?" Pontius Pilate could sympathize with that congressman. Pilate married into a political family. His wife was Claudia, the granddaughter of Caesar Augustus. So remember all those in-law jokes? Pilate was an in-law to the emperor's family by marriage, not by merit. Pilate's brutality probably grew out of being stuck in the muck between a Roman government that had very little respect for him and a restless, stubborn civilian population primed and ready to revolt at the drop of a hat. Much like many today, Pilate's ultimate concern was power and holding on to it. We've talked about this before. It is so foundational. One of the 20th century's most perceptive theologians, Paul Tillich, says that whatever is your ultimate concern in life, that is your God. Whatever is your ultimate concern in life, that is your God. It might be our appearance or affluence. It might be some sports hero or a celebrity star. It might be our allegiance to our country or the quest for scientifically proven truth or a host of other concerns. Everybody worships something or someone. It might be something as benign as your friends. I know that in my early elementary years, going to First Presbyterian Church Camp of Ligonier, I would come back on fire. I was ready to change the world, to tell everybody about the good news. And I remember my friends teasing me about my Jesus sandals. Truth be told, they were Tevas. Eventually, everybody wore them. Point being that slowly but surely, with every tease, with every pushback, With every, is he crazy? Glance, I allowed that fire to fade. In the ignorance of my youth, I worshiped acceptance from my friends more than I worshiped the King of Kings. In those early years, I got along by going along with my friends. What is it that you value most? Some of you will say your family. That's definitely my current weak spot. My most persistent year over the past 24 years has been for God to tear apart the heavens and to intervene if somebody intentionally hurts Jen, my wife of 24 years, or Josh, or Anna, or Adeline. I know that's good-ish. But I also know that if my family is my number one priority, then God is my number two. And that doesn't cut it, especially in my calling. Don't get me wrong, I think I do a pretty good job. I just know that that's my weakness because my family is my priority. Everyone has a weakness because everyone has a priority. And every priority except God is, well, I mean, you know, a problem. Diane, I'd really love to sit down and talk with you and Graham sometime about this because I've actually been advised as a pastor that my family needs to be my number one priority. Have you ever heard that? Yeah. As a pastor and a pastor's wife. Because if you don't, the church will take all of your time. No, that's not true. That's not true. God needs to be our number one priority because God will help us have healthy boundaries that allows us to love our family and love our congregation just the same. So no one of them outbalances the other so that there's this harmony in living between them. Find out your greatest priority, and you will discover what you worship. You will discover who or what is your king. Somebody has described Christ the King like this. And I think this is the root, the foundation of the beautiful song, the beautiful ballad you just shared, Rachel. To the hungry, he is the bread of life. To the sick, he is the great physician. To the lonely, he is the one who comes and sits beside, often in silence. To the lost, he is the good shepherd that goes out seeking his lost sheep. To the prodigals, he is the parent waiting at home, watching, ready to throw a party in celebration of the return home. To the anxious, he is peace. To the proud, he is the one who comes and makes us humble. To the happy, he is the one who enjoys our celebrations and our parties. Does that describe Christ in your life? Do we live in his kingdom? The kingdom is determined not by where we live, but by who we live for. That kingdom is determined by where you place your ultimate allegiance. It's determined by your ultimate role model, by the one that you worship. I love the way the late preacher S.M. Lockridge once put it. The Pharisees couldn't stand him, but they found that they couldn't stop him. Pilate couldn't find any fault in him. Herod couldn't kill him. Death couldn't handle him, and the grave couldn't hold him. Yeah, that's my king. Speaking of kings, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who preached at Ebenezer Baptist Congregation in Atlanta, a congregation that he loved. And he told them just 2 months before his untimely funeral how he would like to be remembered. And in doing so, he zeroed in on that ultimate question. If Christ is king, what does that mean? If Christ is king over our lives, Dr. King told them, then my Nobel Prize is less important than my trying to feed the hungry. If Christ is king, then my invitations to the White House are less important than that I visited those in prison. If Christ is Lord, then my being Time Magazine's Man of the Year is less important than that I tried to love extravagantly, dangerously, with all of my being. I hope you could hear that in the way that he would have said it. Friends, Dr. King was right, wasn't he? If Christ is real, if he is king, then nothing else matters quite as much as that one fact. Why? Because we know that we can trust him with our families. We can trust him with our personal destinies and with our destiny together as a church. We can trust him with everything that is important to us. We can face the future confidently, with assurance, because Christ is King. Amen? Amen.